Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and if you're watching this video right now, you probably know exactly who Dave Ramsey actually is. And if you don't, he's basically like this old guy that's been around for a very long time, talking about finance and money, how to become financially free. But more importantly, he's most known for, hey, I don't like debt. I don't like credit cards, don't do this, don't do that. And in reality today, we're gonna talk about his entire advice when it comes to buying a house. Now, do I agree with it? Do I think it's a good idea? What are the pros and cons? In this video, we're going to break down everything. Now, if you guys are new here, I post videos literally every single day, so you should also subscribe and hit the bell to get notified, and on top of that, also destroy the like button. Now, the very first thing is this, okay, Tommy? Maybe I know who Dave Ramsey is, but let's break down exactly what his entire plan is all about when it comes to buying a house. And in reality, there's three things that Dave Ramsey wants when somebody is going to buy a house. And the first thing is basically, well, let's make sure this house is a blessing. You can actually afford it. And lastly, let's make sure you can actually pay it off even faster. The goal is to own a home, not to buy and finance a home forever. That's not what you actually want to do. So when it comes to the entire Dave Ramsey plan, tell me, what is it all about? In reality, the first step is all about, hey, let's create a budget. Let's see exactly where you are. That we can know exactly how much money you can actually go ahead and spend on a house. So the first step is usually, hey, make a list of all of your incomes, whether you're married or single. What exactly are your incomes? And then you add them up to get the monthly income, all right? Once you have that number, you also want to account for every single dollar you spend and where that money goes, whether it's for the good things like investing and saving, or for example, the bad things like Ubers and all that other stuff we like to do, and also Uber Eats and also convenience stuff, okay? You want to account for all of your expenses, including rent, your light bill, your car, everything. Make an account for every single dollar, and it should add up exactly to whatever your income actually is. Now, once you know exactly what your income and your expenses are, you want to understand exactly how buying a house is going to change that for you. Will it increase it or decrease it? Usually it's going to increase it, because guess what? A house is usually more expensive than renting, even though it might be the same price, because basically you have taxes and insurance, and also on top of that, maintenance. When something breaks in your rental, the landlord pays for it. When something breaks in your house, you're the landlord, so you gotta pay for it. And the whole rule for buying a house, according to Dave Ramsey, is all about, hey, you don't want to spend more than 25% of your monthly income. And you know exactly what that is, because you already did the math, right? So the answer is, you don't want to spend more than 25% of your monthly income on this house. Meaning, for example, that includes the principal, the interest, the taxes, the insurance, and also potentially an HOA fee. Those expenses cannot overlap over 25% of your monthly income. It can be less, but it cannot be more. That's the core idea there. And on top of that, he also says, hey, get a minimum of 10%, but I highly recommend a 20% down payment, because basically he wants you to go out there and avoid paying mortgage insurance. This way, A, you have more money in the property, more equity, but you also save money, and on top of that, you're going to be done a lot faster. That's the core idea here, okay? So, for example, if I wanted to buy a house using this entire Dave Ramsey plan, the idea was, well, let's say I make $6,000 every single month, right? That's my income. I make $6,000 a month. Now, I know for a fact I can't spend more than 25% of my income on this house, including principal, interest, taxes, insurance, also HOA fee potentially, and on top of that, you want to make room for maintenance in your budget, okay? Now, what does this mean, okay? It means, for example, $6,000 in my income multiplied by my budget of 25%, it means I only have around $1,500 when it comes to buying a house. This is my monthly budget. And also, don't forget, it's going to be on a 15-year mortgage, not a 30-year mortgage, okay? And the idea behind it is basically, hey, when you get a 50-year mortgage, yes, it's more expensive, but in reality, you're going to be done a lot faster. You're going to save a lot more money. And on top of that, also, you're going to build equity a lot faster. So it does make sense to why he actually says this. Now, The idea is, Tommy, if my budget is $1,500, how do I find out exactly how much house I can afford? Well, the answer is, dependent on your state and also property taxes and also insurance fees and all that stuff, it is different. But in reality, if you go to the Dave Ramsey website, he actually has an entire mortgage calculator. And in here, you can type in exactly what your budget is, and it'll tell you here exactly what it's going to be per month. So if my budget is $1,500, in reality, I can only spend $213,000 on this property. And boom, my budget is $1,500, but this is only $1,497. That includes, for example, property taxes and also insurance. But don't forget also about maintenance. That's separate, also including your budget, according to Dave Ramsey. That's the core idea. And on top of that, remember, it is going to be on a 15-year mortgage. Now, also, guys, look at this, okay? This also means if you're going to put down 20% as a down payment, you're going to need around $42,600, okay? That's a lot of money. On top of that, closing costs might be around like 5%. So it's also an extra $10,650, okay? Meaning that is a lot of money to go ahead and save up for this house. And usually, that's why people don't like the Dave Ramsey plan. Because in reality, if you just went ahead and say, hey, I'm just gonna put down 3.5%. Well, I only need around $7,455. And although the mortgage might increase, you might say, hey, I'm also just going to get, for example, a 30-year mortgage. This way, you're only paying $1,373, but in reality, you're going to be doing that for the next 30 years. And on top of that, you're going to be paying a ton of money in mortgage insurance. So you either, for example, buy a house for like around maybe like $17,000, or for example, you do it the Dave Ramsey way, and it costs you around 400, like maybe 40 to 50 to 60K, including all of the expenses. Most people want to do it the easy way, okay? That's the core idea. Now, Tommy, do you agree with this plan? Do you like this plan? Is it good? Is it bad? Well, I'll tell you the truth here. This plan is very conservative, which means that for you to kind of mess this up, things have to go very, very bad in your life, okay? Because in reality, you can't really mess this up because basically it's so conservative. In my opinion, you probably get away with raising it from 25% to 30%, but also including in that budget the entire maintenance cost instead of just having it, for example, separate in your budget. On top of that, the big problem is not that, hey, it doesn't work, it doesn't make sense. No, it makes sense, okay? This whole thing makes sense, okay? You're gonna be done a lot faster. You'll be a homeowner a lot faster. You'll lower your expenses a lot faster. You'll like to enjoy your money a lot faster. Also, everything is a lot faster, but it's all about you're going to be sacrificing a lot within that short period of time. That's what people basically don't like. And although this plan is very good, it's still too conservative if you ask me. So if you ask me if I could change anything in this plan, the idea would be, hey, I'm gonna raise it to 33% of my income. So if I'm making $6,000, my new budget would be around 0.33, around $1,980. However, though, in this plan, we will also include, for example, the maintenance fee inside of this budget right here, which might be, for example, 2% of the property value. So also keep that in mind. So that's the entire idea. So I'm still very conservative, but at least you have a little bit more room to buy maybe a nicer house. On top of that, instead of putting, for example, extra money towards a mortgage, I would say, hey, put down an extra 15% towards that mortgage every single month. That way you finish a lot faster. Tommy, what about the 30-year mortgage or the 15-year mortgage? The answer is I don't disagree with the 15-year mortgage. This way you're limited, and this way the house you buy is very easy for you to afford in case everything goes wrong in your life. But on top of that, before you buy a house, okay, the idea is you can't be so, how do I say this? You can't be so optimistic. You gotta kind of say, hey, what if I lose my job? What happens then? So in reality, you're going to have to need an emergency account. That's the whole idea. That way, you're good to go. Dave Ramsey also recommends that. But overall, this plan is solid. It's conservative. It saves you a lot of money. You finish a lot faster, and you can also invest a lot more money once you're done. And on top of that, lastly, you build a lot of equity a lot faster. So the way I picture this is this, okay? Although right now, it might seem like this massive burden. Oh my gosh, this I can only buy this house. It's a lot cheaper. I wanted this bigger house with a 4-bedroom, 3 baths, whatever it is, but I can only afford a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom. The answer is that's what you can afford, okay? And in reality, this tells you that basically, just because the bank tells you you can afford something and you can take that loan doesn't mean you should. Because if I go to a bank on a 6K monthly income, they could actually give me up to maybe 47% of my money. So in reality, I have 6,000. They can give me up to, I don't know, like 47%, which means up to 2,820 bucks. But if anything goes wrong, something breaks or something happens, I lose my job, in reality, how the heck am I supposed to pay this? So whether you do, for example, the 25% with Dave Ramsey, very conservative, or for example, the 32% with me, the answer is they're both conservative. And they're both going to save you money if you get them, for example, on a 15-year mortgage. Usually, I used to say, for example, hey, why would I get a 15-year mortgage, finish so fast, when in reality I can get a 30-year mortgage, invest the difference, and just call it a day. But if you do both things at the same time, like for example, pay the property off faster and also invest, in reality, at the end of that 30-year period, well, in 15 years, you have your property, but you also have a ton of money in investments. So overall, I completely understand this plan. And by the way, remember one thing. The reason that you don't want to spend so much money on a house is basically because it can become a burden, but more importantly, because basically, although right now, you might not have a lot of expenses, in the future, maybe when you have kids, that's expensive, right? So you're gonna have that to worry about. Or for example, you might want to buy something else out there. So the point is, you want to have a lot of free cash flow. For example, if you're spending, look at this, guys, okay? Quick idea here. If you start at 100%, right? So you have 100% of your $6,000 every single month, but you spend, for example, 33 on your entire mortgage. On top of that, you spend an extra like 30% for actually just living expenses, right? So 30% for living expenses, like, you know, like you're traveling and all that stuff. And on top of that, let's say you're also investing, for example, 20%. That means you still have around 17% to go ahead and pay the mortgage even earlier. But this way, okay, every single dollar you have is accounted for, but also more importantly, you are investing and also paying the mortgage off faster. If you do my plan, you'll finish, for example, in around 10 to 12 years instead of, for example, 15 years. But the idea is, if you buy a house you can't afford, for example, I buy this house in New York for $500,000. I can't afford it. Although the bank says I can't afford it. If things go wrong, I lose it. My credit is shot. I lose a ton of money. On top of that, if everything goes fine and I buy that house for $500,000 and I pay it off in 30 years, the answer is, how much money is the bank going to make? The answer is a ton. They are going to profit like crazy from me. On top of that, I'm going to have stability a lot quicker. Once you own your own home and it's yours, in reality, that is the biggest expense that you're going to have ever that's already been conquered, and that way you no longer have it. Meaning, once you have, for example, a home, you free up an extra 1,500 bucks. What do you do with this? Well, aside from like the property tax and insurance, but you free up a lot of money. So what do you do with this? The answer is, well, if you want to invest it, great. If you want to give it away, great. If you want to have more fun, go on vacation, great. You can do whatever you want. But for the next 15 to 20 to 30 to 40 years, you don't have to worry about a mortgage anymore. If you want to grab this money, start investing, for example, into rental property, great. You can do that if you want to. But the answer is, it's all about making a conscious decision and not spending way too much money just because the bank says, hey, we can give you that money. The answer is, of course, they want to give you so much money. That way, you get into debt with them, okay? That's the core idea. But guys, comment down below and let me know, do you agree with the Dave Ramsey plan? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Overall, it's conservative. I would gas it up just a little bit more. But overall, it is still a solid plan if you ask me, okay? And by the way, you never want to be biased. You never want to say, hey, I don't like Dave, so everything he says is wrong. The answer is, you have to be very, very non-biased. Just be logical. Okay, this makes sense. Why does it make sense? Okay, that's the whole idea here. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you like this video right here, guys, well, like this video. On top of that, also, if you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And if you guys want to text me or talk to me one-on-one, join my Patreon, link down below, or just send me a DM on Instagram at TommyBryson. And before I go, if you want to watch a full video of my financial plan, here's a video right here. And click my face right now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And as always, peace.